Hi students, so this video is going to discuss chemical and physical properties. A physical property is a characteristic of a material that can be observed without changing the chemical makeup of the substance. So this means that when you observe it, it doesn't actually change itself. So for example, when you take the temperature of a substance, you're not changing what it is. If you observe its color, you are not changing what it is. And if you are measuring its density, its mass, and its volume, to weigh something doesn't change what a substance is, and to find its volume doesn't change the substance either. So these are just three examples of physical properties. A physical change occurs when it's the same substance but different states of matter. So example, when you go from ice to liquid water to steam, all you're doing is heating the substance. Or if you're going from steam to liquid water to ice, all you're doing is cooling the substance, but the substance is still the same. It's still H2O. So if we take a look at this animation that I have here, these are oxygen molecules, and if I were to heat the oxygen molecules, you can notice that they're moving faster, and they're also moving further apart. So if we click over here, we click the gas button, we notice that the molecules are furthest apart and they're moving the fastest. In a liquid, the molecules are pretty close together and they're moving kind of at a moderate pace. And for a solid, the molecules are just vibrating, but they're pretty much staying in place and they're very close together. The same is true for a lot of other substances too. As you heat the argon, in this case, the molecules start moving faster, and then they move apart from one another as they become a gas. If you cool them down, the opposite happens. The molecules slow down, and then they move closer together, which you can observe here. So a physical change does not involve changing the substance. Doesn't involve changing the substance. So in this example, where it says phase changes, an example of physical change, I'm referring to this animation. So if you notice, a solid is a fixed shape. A liquid takes the shape of its container, so whatever container it's in, it takes the shape of that container. And a gas is not a fixed shape, it takes the shape of its container as well. But a gas is compressible. You will be able to reduce the volume it's in by closing this container down. And we'll talk more about that in class. Now we should talk about chemical changes. A chemical change occurs when the substance at the end is different than the substance at the beginning. So here are some examples that I've shown you. When you're using your stove at home, methane is coming out of the stove, and you are lighting it with a pilot light, and the oxygen in the air is combining with the methane that's coming out of this burner. And this is what that molecule looks like. A methane molecule is CH4, 4 hydrogens and 1 carbon. And you have oxygen combining with it, and it makes carbon dioxide, CO2, and then water molecules, H2O. If you've ever seen a statue that looked green like this, it is copper, and it's reacted with the air, and it's changed color. Copper in its pure state is brown. And here you see this old farming equipment that's made out of metal, and when it reacts with air, it forms rust. That's why it's very brown. And lastly, we should talk about chemical properties. Chemical properties are characteristics of a substance that are observed when the chemical makeup of substances change. So this is essentially saying that the chemicals at the beginning, they are combined differently than the chemicals at the end. So when you burn something, you often get different substances at the end than at the beginning. This is very hard to tell without some more advanced equipment whether it's a chemical reaction or not, because in the case of water in the previous example, it doesn't look the same, but we know through chemical analysis that it's still water but in 3 different forms. But here, when you burn paper, for example, or you burn methane in a stove, there's energy being released, which is a big indicator of a chemical reaction, which we'll talk about in the future. So I hope that is helpful for you, and please answer the questions that are at the end of this video. Thanks.